I don't know about you guys, but I am so sick and tired of all the podcasts that are 10 steps to a better life, 7 steps to success. Stop giving out so much advice and tell more stories. Hey, what's going on, guys? It is the Empowered People Podcast, where each and every week we're going to tell, share, and listen to stories that are meant to motivate us to action, to motivate us to movement. We believe that so much education, success, opportunity only comes when we're willing to get up and move. Just like that.
That was you were rapping, right? That was a rap?
It's always, man. It's like in my heart. It's a heartbeat. And each and every Thursday, we take time to set aside to find people that are literally making Kansas City brighter. But no, I love the energy here. And this right here. So I met Kyle at a networking event called 1 Million Cups. And I don't know if you've been to a lot of networking events. There's a lot of them that suck. And 1 Million Cups does not suck. But not only does it not suck, they're 100%. Yeah, definitely. And one thing that really stood out is there were different speaker levels, right? There were people that got out there and they kind of talked about, I think one was a beef farmer and one was something else. There was a little bit of a panel. And then Kyle got up there. And I remember someone nudging me and being like, yo, this is about to be really good. And I love speaking. I listen to a ton of speakers. And I remember
you were sitting by my mom.
Dude, I think I was. Yeah.
Nice.
And she, and like, once he started talking, I was like, oh, this dude not only has a good speech, but he actually believes in what he's talking about. And like by the end of it, you know, as we get into it more and more, like what he's trying to do with Determination Incorporated is like a very lofty goal. It's a very hard goal. It's definitely going to be an uphill battle. But it was like, dude, if I wanted to throw money behind anybody or support or shine the light on, interview, whatever, anybody that's trying to tackle this project, it would be someone like you. So thanks a ton for making the time. Thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks for writing that check.
Yeah, I know it's a long-winded just introduction. And also, I feel like I'm introducing you. You've introduced me to so many people already. Like this is, I don't know how many meetings we had, but another guy named Tate the introduction was made through you.
What up, Tate?
What up, Tate? But anyway, so why don't we just start with a check-in, like what this week, kind of what's going good, 0 to 10, how are things going? What's happening in your world?
This week is starting off at a 9.2. I have to take my Ford Ranger out on I-70 again tomorrow. Wish me luck.
This is America, so we do halves. Like you can do a 16th and 8th quarter.
Oh, we'll
you can't do the Dewey Decimal System.
We'll round up to 9.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
9.5. Anyways, so yeah, so what's going good?
So I'm going to take that Ford Ranger. Last week I was visiting a women's prison in Chillicothe, Missouri. We had a great business basics entrepreneurship workshop with a program up there called Beauty from Ashes. And tomorrow I'm headed to a prison in Jeff City and then to another women's prison on Thursday in Vandalia. So getting the word out about entrepreneurship as a path to opportunity. So Determination Incorporated is a startup nonprofit here in Kansas City. We are creating a pathway to opportunity for formerly incarcerated people through entrepreneurship.
And how do you make those connections? Like literally, how do you get invited to speak at a prison like these two?
Well, I do make the joke a lot that there's a fast way to get to prison and there's every other way. So I don't take the fast way. That would be committing a crime. Every other way is connecting with corrections organizations and reentry organizations. In the cases of these 3 workshops, 2 of them are connecting with reentry organizations that are existing, and then the other one was connecting directly with the Department of Corrections.
Dude, that's dope. Yeah, I mean, it's legitimately just like hustle and getting the word out and getting people talking about you.
Yeah.
And constantly people are saying like, they're so scared to call people and get told no. But like, how often do you get told no that you reach out?
I don't get told no quite as often as I just don't hear back from a long time. And then I know if I need to follow up with that person because it's a priority for me for whatever reason, I just set a little email reminder to hit them up again. I've really found that people are willing to say yes and to say, hey, let's chat if you are genuinely helping their clients. I mean, in the cases of corrections and reentry, it's a bunch of calls, it's a bunch of networking, it's time with people, building a really solid relationship. But folks in the corrections and reentry community really are looking for opportunities to serve their clients. So they're just waiting for people to show up and have an interesting solution to the problems that their clients have.
And these are problems before they even exist, because this is problems that they're going to face when they get out. So you're kind of talking them to make a plan to be, proactive so that they don't recidivize, which actually was a word I didn't even know until I heard you speak.
Now you love it.
Now I can.
Now you say it about everything.
Yeah, but I cannot spell it. For sure.
Don't worry about it.
I can't spell electrician, so there's no way I'm spelling that. So, dude, that's exciting because I feel like it's the same exact way when you're genuinely trying to help. Do you charge for those talks? Do you get paid for them?
I don't.
No, but there's the hope of possible future income if you help them and do the right thing and meet the right need. And
that'd be cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, I just listened to Mark Cuban give a big talk about sales, and he was like, literally, sales is solving problems. He's like, even as the owner of the Dallas Mavericks, what I'm trying to do is, hey, father, you want to spend more quality time with your son, and your son likes basketball, buy tickets and come to our game so that you can have quality time. He's like, it's not just, I'm trying to sell tickets because I want to make money. I do want fathers to buy season tickets so that they, raise kids that love coming here, that buy them tickets, and it's so good because I experience that a lot. So yeah, I'm riding pretty cloud nine. Is that what it says? Cloud nine? I'm on cloud nine because
it feels like it.
Last week I got reached out to again by another high school that said, hey, we keep hearing your name. I'm the principal of this alternative high school, which means there's a lot of kids at risk, whether it's drug problems, violence problems, attendance problems. They kind of go to this school. They're trying to keep them from dropping out. And they're like, we kind of heard that your story about entrepreneurship resonates with these kids, that one of those kinds of kids. And I get to go speak on Wednesday to those. And it just always fires me up because it's like when I talk to them, even like I spoke at a career fair last week, and it was funny. It was kind of some like low income schools. And it was just like I was looking into my eyes going, dude, your story is not over. Like, this isn't the end. This isn't even the beginning. This is like the intro, the preface of the author talking about what your life could be. And so, yeah, anytime I get those opportunities, which they're not all the time, and yeah, most of the time I don't charge for them, it's just super fun to like look at the 14-year-old punk me that goes, look, dude, those excuses, they're going to run out. They're weak. I know they feel real, just like a lot of your people that are going to be getting out. Like, man, they feel like those obstacles. Recidivizing is the fast and easy way, the thing they know. But one other thing, whenever I was listening to you at 1 Million Cups, that really kind of blew me away, like sitting next to your mom, is they did this Q&A panel when they were done. And, there were some really good questions, and then there were some of those dorky questions. It's like, hey, Kyle, you're just so awesome. How are you so awesome?
Thank you.
And, like, without hesitation, just so organically, naturally, authentically, all those types of things, you were like, hey, man, well, actually, Mom, can you stand up? And then you kind of just went into a rave about your mom. So why don't you just go back in time and just kind of talk about, like, who Kyle was growing up? Like, what was that like?
Yeah. Real quick on the shout out for my mom. So my siblings are both doctors, but I got my mom a round of applause. So I feel like I won the Good Kid Award for 2018. They're pretty cool though too.
How many brothers?
I have one brother who's a year older than me and a sister who's a year younger.
And they're both doctors.
They're both doctors. Yeah. They're awesome.
But you did get the applause. Yeah. That is awesome. So yeah, talk about life growing up.
I grew up in a small town in Missouri called Mexico, Missouri. Did you know there was a Mexico, Missouri?
I did know because a good buddy of mine, Phil Hart, went to school there and was a wrestler there, a really good wrestler. Are their colors purple? No.
Red and gray.
Okay,
and
way wrong.
I was a really bad wrestler from Mexico, Missouri. Actually, I quit wrestling because I broke a kid's leg.
Dude, that's a way to go
sounds
out.
badass.
You definitely don't sound like a bad wrestler. You
no,
sound like a really good wrestler.
Well,
was it an illegal move?
No, it was during practice, and it was a friend of mine.
Oh gosh,
he
was saying stop. I got to go to the bathroom, and you're like, twist.
Good luck going to the bathroom. Oh wait, you are going to the bathroom. I'm glad I got out of it. But anyway, So I grew up in Mexico, Missouri, small town. Great upbringing. So part of the story that I shared at my 1 Million Cups presentation. So the reason I started my organization now, Determination Incorporated. So as we've kind of been alluding to, we host entrepreneurship and business basics workshops for currently and formerly incarcerated people. And I always share when people ask why, that my personal reason for it is there's not a history of incarceration in my family, but we deal with our own form of prison, which is anxiety and depression. And my father didn't make it out of that prison, so he committed suicide when I was a baby. So my life's work is about helping people rise above and unlock the barriers that they put up in front of themselves and others so they can live and love at their fullest.
Yeah, no, that's how many Dude, I mean, number one, sorry for that. I mean, that sucks. I mean, I think there's, kind of going back to talking to the high schooler kids, whether it's a high schooler listening right now, a young professional entrepreneur, a freaking 70-year-old person or a 7-year-old person, whether it's on YouTube or the podcast, just know like pain sucks. Like there's no sugarcoating around that. And you just heard Kyle just kind of, I just hear you say that. And I feel like that's a message that you've told yourself over and over and over again, which then you believe it and then you live it out and it affects change. And so it's like so many people I think would go through that and they would be pissed at the world. They would say, why me? I mean, you literally, I don't know if anybody caught it, but I go back and listen. He said, I had an amazing upbringing, an amazing childhood. Seconds before he said, my father committed suicide. So I just think, if there's a more positive message or if there's any takeaway, I mean, that's huge, dude. How were you able? So, I mean, right there, it's like your mom's a strong son of a gun, probably.
Yeah, I wouldn't wrestle her.
She'll break your leg, probably break your butt a couple times. Did you ever get spanked with a spoon and you get a spoon broke over you?
Not a spoon, but I got spanked.
I got spanked by a spoon that was very
It is spunked. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, spunked. Very, very weak spoon. I remember laughing and it broke. But yeah, no, sorry.
Yeah.
We sidetracked. So what did your mom do for occupation? Did they push you? So it sounds like high school, like college was the next step. I mean, if both of your siblings are doctors, did you go to college or what did you do after high school?
I went to college. I went to a public school and then I went to Truman State University, which is up in Northeast Missouri, and I studied theater, which was a really great experience. I really feel like I learned a lot about entrepreneurship by being a theater major. Public speaking is a big part of the game, but B, we just had an environment where we could create our own shows and run our own programs and kind of like do cool stuff. I started a children's theater troupe while I was there, and learning how to put things together and learning how to work with people and learning how to work with a lot of different people has been really useful in real life as well. So I don't regret it.
Was public speaking hard for you? Was it something that you developed while you were there, or did you kind of always do it growing up? Because I mean, you're a theater major, so now I don't believe you. You're an actor. It's all an act. None of this is real. Doesn't care at all.
Thank you. And that's how good it is.
Yeah. No, but I mean, was that something that you practiced kind of growing up, or because so many people are terrified of it?
I've always done a lot of it. So when you were sharing about speaking at high schools and speaking at schools and stuff, I was actually thinking back to, I can still remember, it was probably in first grade when a magician came to do an assembly and he asked for a volunteer from the audience, and I stood up because I was always looking for opportunities to get in front of people, and he taught me how to balance a broomstick, which I can still do. I feel like you're probably imparting more important lessons upon children, but that was a pretty crucial one for me.
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes it's funny. One time, one of the recent speaking engagements, I spoke to like classes as they came through. So I gave the same talk like 11 times in a row. By like time 8, I didn't know what I was talking about anymore. I mean, I was just
grab
like,
a broomstick.
I was like, what in the heck? Yeah. Funny story. I don't know how to balance a broomstick, but I do know how to juggle, solve Rubik's cubes, yo-yo like a beast and hacky sack. I would say I'm challenge out to all YouTube and podcast listeners. If you can beat me at hacky sack, free empowered shirt, because you can't, because I didn't have any friends, and you can play hacky sack by yourself. Okay. And so I learned all those types of things, not because I wanted to be the center of attention, but it was like I had nobody to play with. So went to college for theater. What did you do after that? I mean, what do you do with a theater degree? And I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm saying, like, what do you do?
No, it's a great question. A lot of my friends went on to pursue acting and are still pursuing it. Some more successful than others. There's
all forms of acting, like Broadway, musicals,
strippers, porn stars, the whole gamut. I don't know nearly as many porn stars as I would like to. But yeah. So from, people trying to make it on Broadway out in LA to just like small community theaters, regional summer stuff. So some of that, creative folks who are doing writing, which is kind of what I left still doing some of, was writing. And then also, like myself, just using those skills in other areas, getting into public service or teaching or whatever the case may be.
Gotcha. So what did you do?
I fell in love with a chick and moved to New York. And then we fell out of love.
Tina Fey?
I haven't met her yet either, but if you're watching, Tina, you know where to find me.
You are engaged.
We got engaged for a little bit. I didn't just say that out loud. No. You must have read my brain.
No. I'm saying you're engaged now.
Oh, I'm engaged now. Our timelines are all over the place.
Well, I was just saying.
Both of those things are
Tina
true.
Fey, watch out.
Oh yeah, she better. My current fiance would be much more excited, and we'd have to have a really serious conversation if Amy Poehler reached out, because we are huge Parks and Rec fans.
Do you think so? Sorry.
Not often.
Yeah. No, we're not bringing this back, because I feel like Parks and Rec has some of the most amazing analogies about entrepreneurship, like lessons learned through Tom Haverford, Entertainment 720, all that stuff. Yeah. Like, it is so amazing to me, the lessons you can learn about entrepreneurship through that. Yeah. I'd say everybody should watch it.
We like it so much that we play a game where I give her like 3 characteristics of an episode, just random stuff that I pull out of the air, and she has to go find the episode, and she's watched it so many times that she can do it. So it's pretty impressive.
That is impressive.
Yeah.
Okay, so
entrepreneurship.
So you moved to New York, and what were you doing for a job in New York?
So I was still doing some creative writing on the side, and I ended up working in fitness at a CrossFit gym. So I worked at CrossFit NYC, which is right there in Manhattan, and coached exercise classes, which I really, really love doing. One of the things that really carries over into what I'm doing now is just being a part of a community. You know CrossFit. I'm assuming some people who are watching also know it. It's really big on having a positive community of hard workers, people who are reaching towards big goals and pushing themselves. And I think carrying over a lot of that community aspect into what I'm doing now with our business support group has been really helpful.
Okay, so what happens at CrossFit, or what happens from New York? Because we're not in New York. We're in Kansas City, Missouri, the heart of America.
That's right. We even have the mugs to prove it.
Yeah, right.
So I worked at the gym.
Time out. These are dope, right? So like
these are fantastic.
The name of this podcast is Scattered. Sandlot, local dude, Chad with Sandlot. It's a local Kansas City company. They do like coasters. They do leather work. They make an amazing wallet. I think I have one. Shout out to them, guys. They are sold at the Made in KC store. All locations, Made in KC Marketplace, in the Crossroads. Dude, once again, as excited as I am about you, I'm excited about that guy. That guy is really cool. He has an amazing story of why it's called Sandlot. I'll actually get him on the podcast to tell that story. I'm not going to tell his story, but we are going to put a link in the show notes. If you are in the market for a new wallet, awesome coasters. This isn't a coaster. This is a koozie, but he does make coasters too. I have some.
This would go great with my furry costume.
Exactly. I don't know what furry is. I'm not going down that. Actually, I know I'm not going down that. Anyways, Chad was saying a lot. So how do you get back to Kansas City?
So I worked at a CrossFit gym, and I had the goal of opening a gym because I love the community and I love the everything about it so much. And I knew it just wasn't realistic to actually get there in New York City, and also wanted to be not quite in New York City for the rest of my life. It was cool growing up in a very small town and then doing the best city in the world, but long-term was looking for something that was kind of in between the two. And Kansas City was just a great fit. And I knew there was a really strong entrepreneurship community, and entrepreneurship was like a big thing here. So I actually originally moved out here with the goal of opening a gym, and made it out here, started working at a couple local boxes. I'll do a commercial. If you're looking to get into CrossFit in Kansas City, Missouri, you should check out the Hill KC, best CrossFit gym in Kansas City. I will fight all of you and break your legs. So
where's the Hill KC located?
Over on right off of I-35 and Broadway.
So is it Memorial Hill?
Yeah. CrossFit Memorial Hill is like the full CrossFit name.
Yeah, it's a super cool place.
You should have him on the podcast. They're really expanding their services. Matt Scanlon. I have a short list of people who have like done good by me in my life, and he is on that list. He really helped me through what was a difficult transition. So that actually gets back to our story. It is scattered, but we always find our way. Entrepreneurship. Did I sound like Tom Haverford?
That was good.
I felt like Tom
You should have done like the head, like sparkle suds, sparkle up your life, or whatever.
So wanted to open a gym, started working there with him, getting to know what having a gym in Kansas City was all about. It wasn't quite the business I was looking to get into once I learned more about how the market was here. And it was kind of a rough transition for me to find my next step. But Matt was super helpful, super supportive, let me wean off of hours, helped me find other opportunities. And I ended up in the entrepreneurship community, which I kind of knew about because I was trying to get into entrepreneurship. And I had just enough writing background and doing some marketing that I was able to back my way into a marketing job. So I started working for a local entrepreneurial support organization called KCSourceLink.
Which I'm super intrigued by them, but I don't fully understand. And part of it's because, like, what would be the example? Like, I didn't have a support structure. Like, I'm not going to say so bold. Like, I hate that, like, entrepreneurship's like jumping off a mountain and figuring out how to build the plane on the way down. Like, no, come on. Like, that's not accurate. But
I believe the goal is to build the plane on the way down. If you haven't even figured out how to build the plane.
Well, so like, I had no support structure. So what can people get from KCSourceLink? Like, what does that mean? Like, just money?
No, not money. In fact, no.
So everything but money.
Yeah, let's go with that. Yeah. That's what they should put out on the billboard out front. So KCSourceLink acts as a central hub for all of the entrepreneurial support organizations around Kansas City. So you'll have to throw down in the show notes here, they have what's called the resource rail, which lays out all of those organizations and what they do through the entrepreneurial journey. So if you're early stage and looking for a networking opportunity, go checking out 1 Million Cups. If you're trying to figure out funding, go connect with a local CDFI like AltCap. If you're way down the road and you're trying to hire, connect with a local small business development center. They just help entrepreneurs find the right resource at the right time. Even someone at your stage now could hit them up if you're looking to get some money to rebuild this space or whatever it is you're doing.
Interesting. No, that's cool. And so while you were there, is that is it a community developer, a community organizer for 1 Million Cups?
That's when I started working, as a volunteer community organizer with 1 Million Cups. Yeah.
Because there's no paid positions with 1 Million Cups.
Yeah, it's all volunteer led.
Okay. Yeah. And so while there, volunteering with 1 Million Cups, networking, seeing people, create entrepreneurship, how long were you in that nonprofit sector of work?
I worked with them for just over 2 years. Yeah. And I got into it really wanting to figure out something meaningful in the inclusion conversation. So trying to figure out how to help folks who are being left out from all the sexy, exciting entrepreneurship stuff and bring them into the fold. So I was always scanning around for opportunities to help folks. And it didn't take too long to land on folks coming home from incarceration because there's a lot of need and a lot of opportunity and a lot of people who are interested in doing big things.
That's so interesting that you say that, because I definitely, my entire life, like, we grew up extremely poor, so we moved a lot due to eviction and things like that, and always feeling like the one on the outside, always feeling like the person left out. Like, the lunchroom, like, I know is scary, but it's like extremely scary when you're the new kid. It's even more scary when you're the new kid on free lunches. Even worse when you're the new kid on free lunches, wearing the same pair of jeans for 2 weeks. It just kind of
playing hacky sack alone in the corner.
Yeah, that did not get the girls. I don't understand why. Like, should have picked a different thing than hacky sack. I did learn how to do backflips also, but I cannot do that anymore. That is terrifying to me. But always feeling like on the outside. And it's funny, I do have a little bit of a chip on my shoulder when it comes to entrepreneurship, because like we're a construction company, a commercial electric company that does amazing restaurants, but still in so many eyes, we're like this gritty, dirty, not sexy construction company. And it's funny, like, as we apply for awards and stuff, it's like I feel like I'm constantly kind of fighting to get noticed, because they're like, well, this isn't a typical startup. Somebody said this to me, and I'm not calling them by name. They were like, you're not a typical company that we would highlight. And as I looked through the list of people they highlighted, we have more employees in less years with more revenue, like everything. And I'm just like, I just want to be like,
revenue and jobs are pretty sexy.
I know. So yeah, last year we spent over $1 million in payroll, and I can promise you, like, dude, I was doing the Harlem Shake when I found that out. Like, that made me feel like a boss more than anything ever.
Yeah.
That's way cooler than having $1 million in my bank account, knowing that like people are being empowered through what we're doing. You're right. Awesome. So we're not fighting for the accolade, but just that whole like, yo, pay attention to me. Like, it's like, finally I'm like, screw it. But
no, I think it's really important that you brought that up though. I mean, coming from the entrepreneurial community, we do, you're right, give a lot of attention to things that look really exciting or look really different. And I'm always encouraging people to look one step lower, like, hey, don't stop paying attention to those whatever tech companies or some guy with a new exciting idea, but look one step further into who is creating quality jobs in the community, who is changing the face of the community, who is really helping us like take advantage of all of the economic opportunity that's out there. And it's companies like yours that are doing it.
Yeah, because construction ain't going away. I mean, construction is a multi-trillion-dollar a year like industry. Like, it ain't going anywhere. It's and automation, and watch out for the robots. Like, they're not taking my job. They're not taking any of our jobs. It's funny that you said trying to look for different people, because I do think like the sexy startups are like, we're trying to be the Uber of bicycles, and you're like, what? Or they're like, oh, we're gonna start the Airbnb of cell phones. Like, you can rent my what? Like, stop trying to start these weird tech startups. And like, you're never gonna replace service, right? You know what I mean? Like, an amazing waiter is always better than self-checkout. I don't care if self-checkout's faster. An amazing cashier that's like, hey, how's it going? It's just amazing. You can't separate that personal touch.
Yeah.
So
it is funny trying to watch people use the self-service machines at McDonald's. I don't know that they're going to work.
I didn't even know there were self-service machines at McDonald's.
You got to get out there, bro.
I know, right? When I order McDonald's, I order Uber Eats. And they deliver. No, I'm joking.
He's not joking.
The biggest temptation for McDonald's is legitimately after this podcast. Super late Monday nights, McFlurries just scream my name.
Yeah. I'd eat it more if it were actually good. It's not that good. Now they're not going to advertise on your podcast.
Yeah, a McFlurry. Gosh. I did become a fan of McDonald's. Have you watched the movie Founder on Netflix?
Oh, yeah. That was great.
It's actually really good, and you start, like, rooting for them, and then you're like, wait a second. Like,
yeah.
I don't like McNuggets.
Yeah. No, my first ever email address was kjs_55@hotmail.com, and that's because I had just read a book about, is it Roy something?
Yeah, I even forgot his name.
Whoever the guy was who took advantage of the McDonald's brothers. That was the year that he kind of, like, got McDonald's started. I feel like
he didn't take advantage. He took initiative.
Oh, okay. Well, let the people watch the movie and they can decide.
Yeah, you're 100% right. But anyway,
but we're right that the hamburgers aren't that good.
So we're sliding back to, are you just feeling like, so you're an employee, and there's a lot of safety in being an employee, right? Like, everyone that's like, I just want to be the boss. I'm like, dude, I have no one to blame. I honestly have very few people to lean on. I can't vent. I can't, like, it all rests on me. Like, if the job's going to get done or not get done, it's on me. So why leave being an employee, the safety net, all that stuff? Why leave that and jump? Like, what kind of started stirring in there? Like, you're saying you're looking for, like, people that are ostracized and pushed to the out, but why not just target them and try to get them more involved? Why jump out and start something?
Yeah. So I tell this story about when I tried to start the gym here in Kansas City. My market research was calling a CrossFit box and pretending to be a potential client and just kind of asking about their membership packages. That was like all I did. I think I talked to one commercial real estate guy too. Turns out he just wanted to sell me a building. And that's all I did. So then I got here and learned in real life what the market was all about, and was like, oh no, that's not the business I wanted to own. So I tell that story to say I did it very differently this time around with starting Determination Incorporated. So I started by networking a lot with existing reentry organizations. So those nonprofits that are already helping people coming home from incarceration. Started to learn what they were all about, what their processes were all about, what their clients were all about. Started to do some one-off, just business basics, entrepreneurship workshops with some of their clients to see what their needs were and what folks were actually interested in doing. So I say all of that to say that I really started spending time with people, trying to figure out the customer and what their needs are. You said, why not just say, you're now invited. Welcome formerly incarcerated people. I actually use as an example all the time that an entrepreneurial support organization who just like slaps on their billboard, now serving felons, like it's not going to get anywhere, because sure, maybe a couple will walk in the door, but you're not really taking the extra steps to figure out what barriers people have and what their needs are. And that's one thing that we've learned so much about in the last year, and we'll continue to add on to our programming moving forward.
And so what are some of the barriers, both like systemically, like as a country or just community, that are set up? And what are some of the barriers that personally incarcerated people getting out feel? Have you noticed? You know what I'm asking?
Yeah. So I'll describe like the story of a hypothetical person coming home. This isn't everyone's story, but you do see a lot of this happening from person to person. So you get home and maybe you don't have a steady place to stay. So you're couch surfing. That's incredibly stressful. Then you have to report to your parole officer, and they're telling you to get a job, but you've been down for 5, 10, 20 years and don't really know how to go apply for stuff, let alone what the hell these cell phone things do. So applying for a job is difficult. You may have some health needs and you certainly don't have health care, so you're worried about all that sort of stuff. So a lot of it is really like bottom of Maslow's hierarchy of needs that people have. Which is why my organization relies so heavily on working with reentry organizations who can provide support in all of those other areas, help people get stabilized so they can really give entrepreneurship the old college try.
Okay, so first off, so kind of like KCSourceLink, we'll help with everything but money. You're saying that Determination Incorporated is going to help with things other than those basic things, like a house, medication, getting to doctors, getting that stuff set up, transportation to a job. What are some of so I'm going to ask the question. So, what do you do? What do you do besides that? What are some of the personal barriers? Like, have you felt like they come back and they're just like, there's no way no one's going to hire me? Like, what are some of those things?
Yeah, so there can be family relation issues, whether or not you're currently getting along with your family very well. That's a really important support system that most of us can rely on heavily. And if you don't have that, that's a really big need. There's also, if all of your old friends are the same friends who got you into trouble, those aren't going to be the great friends to hang out with. So there's a lot of peer support, community stuff that needs to change. And then there's just knowing like what's going on in town. Where are the places to go to build healthy relationships with people and to be hanging out in pro-social communities? So it's figuring out that new landscape that is can be a burden for some people. And also just making sure that people have healthy ways to perform self-care. I mean, a lot of people, their version of self-care is just drinking enough and maybe drinking earlier. And so helping people get better habits is definitely a big part of recovery as well, because you'll see that issue a lot with people who are currently incarcerated, as it stems from substance abuse issues.
So what do you mean healthier is drinking more and earlier?
Well, like if your version of like, oh, I feel bad or I'm mad about something, like that's not actually going to get you very far. If that's your self-care regimen, as opposed to learning how to talk about your feelings and eating healthfully and having exercise and connecting with other people, you have to be able to build a new habits.
Oh, because I thought you were saying like get drunk earlier in the day. It's better.
That's what I preach. Is that wrong? Uh-oh. I got to rework some worksheets.
So did you, this is
great
Comedy
money in
Central.
it.
Yeah. So when you do kind of just decide you're going to jump, did you do kind of like the box thing? Did you wean yourself off of hours or did you just jump headlong into it?
I did wean myself off some hours. I'm also still doing some contract work, which is very in the weeds thing for you to bring up, but a very important thing to bring up as well, because I tell people that all the time, that a great way to get into entrepreneurship is to start with a job in the industry. Then you get to see it from the inside. Then you get to have savings. Then you get to learn from another business owner's highs and lows, all of those things. A lot of people, I saw someone draw a very simple graph the other day, but it was very illuminating for me, was he just drew a graph of like, as someone is starting a business, their income coming in from contracts or whatever is going to go like this, as ideally their business income is going like this. So a lot of people start off with having a side hustle and growing it from there.
Yeah. Sorry, pardon me. And so now what is a day, what is a week, what does the curriculum, the service look like that you're providing at Determination Incorporated?
So we host workshops that are inside of correctional institutions. That's called Back to Business. And then we have a workshop for formerly incarcerated people, so out on the streets, that's called Be the Boss. And the format for those groups, of course, it's a little bit different for the one that's inside of institutions, but we invite an expert from the entrepreneurial community or a business owner to come share their story, share about their area of expertise, and we apply it toward whatever people are working on. One of the things that we are adding for 2019, which is what a lot of people are working on, is our Rise Up Get Started entrepreneurship competition. So we're asking folks to pitch, instead of pitching a business plan, they're pitching a business project. So if your goal is to someday open a restaurant, this year you're going to host 5 small dinners and test out recipes, test your ability to execute, work with some potential customers, make some money, and put it back into the business the same way people grow businesses incrementally. So a lot of folks are getting ready for that competition.
That's freaking awesome. So when you go into a correctional facility, like how many people will come to Rise Up? Like how many people?
Yeah. So I have done a lot of workshops that are around 15. I mentioned last Friday I was up in Chillicothe at the women's prison, and there were 60 awesome women there, which was really great.
Good golly. So that's not round table. Like, what do you like? That's like what more people. I mean, that's like a speaking engagement. That's like a stage. Like, what was it in the cafeteria? Just a bunch of tables.
Yeah. So this program is really cool.
And did it shock you?
I had warning that there were going to be 60 people there, so I knew that was coming.
Okay.
They actually have their own wing in the prison, so we were backed by their housing units, and they just had chairs and tables set up. It was really great. It's a faith program, and so it's not a choir, but they play music, and they have like a dance associated. So it actually started with a performance, which most workshops do not start with a performance from the clients, but it was a really, really special thing to see. It was really beautiful. And then I just kind of told them a little bit about Determination Incorporated, and we walked through the same worksheets where we answered some simple business basics questions.
And do you put up, so this is going to sound like a bad question. Do you put up boundaries that they have to overcome to be involved, or is it just whoever wants to be involved, raise your hand, you're in?
Yeah. For those workshops, it's really whoever wants to be involved. Yeah. I think entrepreneurship kind of has its own vetting system because people are going to do the work or they're not going to do the work. So we do set up our groups a lot where folks can just self-select into it. And if you're willing to put in the work, hey, that's a good sign that you're maybe willing to put in more work to get where you want to be.
Yeah. So it's funny. Do you let them interrupt while you're talking, or do you make them save their questions till the end?
Oh no, I'm cool with interruptions.
So that's funny. That is why this podcast has gone the way it is, because literally when I speak, so I don't know if you knew, but like when I started Empowered Electric, I was volunteering at a juvenile detention center. So much of what I started was to see at-risk young adults empowered through electric opportunity to break the cycle of poverty, addiction, and self-defeat. And one of the very first times I remember I spoke to the group of 60, it was 60, it was 40 boys and 20 girls. And I remember saying like, hey man, this is not a church service. Do not wait till the end to ask questions. If I say a word like recidivism that you don't understand, raise your hand or just belch it out, like say something. And literally, holy crap, I would prepare. I would talk for an hour to those kids. I would prepare maybe like 15 minutes because I knew like the questions were just going to come. And so the banter back and forth, which was some of the most formative times to actually unpack like what I'm trying to say about your past not dictating your future, there being hope and change and, like real possibilities that you don't have to continue in this. It's just so funny that this back and forth, which Aaron's going into a panic attack because he's like, yo, script, point number 3, what's going on? But no, it's been super helpful. So have there been mostly wins, mostly losses? What's it been like?
Yeah, as far as our programming goes,
Yeah.
We're super early stage. We are just getting started, but we have folks who are working on businesses. It comes a lot from skills and passions that people have now that they want to grow into a business. So we have a lady who's working on a scrapbooking store concept, a gentleman who wants to open a food truck, a guy who, while he was down, wrote a book to help people prepare their cases while they're waiting for a lawyer if they want to like have a wrongfully convicted claim. So that's something he's been working on for a long time. Yeah. So it's starting with the assets they have now and learning how to build them into a business. And
so one way that anybody could get involved, because this is what I try to say. I try to tell people. So we have a heart for at-risk juvie hall kids, right? So 18, 19, 20 years old that kind of have been down and out, that are kind of at that crossroads of what the heck they're going to do. We'll take some chances on kids. Anyways, what I'm saying is business owners out there, whether you're watching, listening, anything, man, or if you know someone, you're the sister of the guy that you know would love to hire somebody, reach out. How can they reach out to you to say like, hey, I'd be interested in hiring someone? Because I think that'd be important, right? The dude that wants to start the food truck needs to go work at a food truck and learn the ins and outs, like you were saying. Yeah, and what we're actually looking at to grow our programming into in the future is that apprenticeship model. So we're looking how to solidify exactly the sorts of relationships you're talking about. So stay tuned. But as far as reaching out goes, our website is determinationincorporated, all spelled out, .com.
You'll find links there to our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, that sort of thing. And then my email is Kyle, the letter J, Smith, @determinationincorporated.com. I'd love to have any conversations with people in the community who are looking to help out. I mean, our volunteer opportunities range from helping to set something up to coming to speak at a group to we're exploring having not mentor relationships, but accountability partner relationships with some of our students. So I'd love to talk with anyone who has a heart for helping people coming home.
And once again, from what I've experienced with the Juvie Hall, and you will probably echo this from what you've experienced, is so many people think to make a difference, I need to start the thing that's going to impact hundreds of people. You don't need to do that. You need to do that. But the listener, really what they need to do is take a chance on 1 or 2 people. Because literally if every listener took a chance on 1 to 2 people over the next 10 years, that would enable you to reach more and to have more success stories. And I think the more that you change the narrative, because I think you threw up a disgusting stat at 1 million cups about the recidivism rate. That's sad, but it's like it needs to change. And the way that it changes is someone like you being that big stone that drops into the pond that starts a ripple. And like each and every one of us can play our part in small little ways, right?
Yeah. So the stat you're mentioning, so 43% of people who are on parole in Missouri are unemployed. And our recidivism rate is also 43%. So 43% of people return to prison within 3 years of Missouri. So lots of work to be done there. I want to add on to the point you're making about being willing to take a chance on somebody. Yes, that's super important. I also think in general, our generation just needs to figure out how to do togetherness better. I think we're really good at creating little silos and creating little bubbles. And then every once in a while we like open a door to our bubble and say, hey, people over there, do better, and then close the door again. If we're really going to help everyone improve, our communities get better, we have to figure out how to make mixed income, mixed race, mixed background, mixed everything communities lasting and really meaningful.
100%. How is your work and how has taking chances on people, how has all this stuff changed you as a person or changed the way that you look at things?
I want to sidestep for 1 second and just say about the taking chances on people. I don't want that to be like the only mindset that people go into when they're thinking about helping someone coming home from incarceration, helping a felon. I mean, I know if me or one of my reentry partners were preparing someone for a job interview, like we wouldn't say your value proposition is you're doing good for someone who's had it hard. No, your value proposition is being a fucking great employee. Like folks have the ability to showcase their own self-worth too. So I think just that is an important thing to get out there. But your question was, how has it helped me grow? It's definitely been a real life experience. I mean, I talk to other people about entrepreneurship, and that would be kind of rude of me not to have gone on and tried to do it myself. So building a nonprofit while helping other people building their businesses has been quite the crucible, but things are going well so far.
So you're right. I do think, because it's funny. So we just hired another kid today. Not an at-risk kid, just a kid. He's 22. Anyone less than 30 is a kid to me, because I feel old. Yeah, they're like, I feel old, and I'm like, you are not old. But he was basically saying, hey man, I'm just looking for an opportunity. And that was his value proposition, is he's like, dude, I want to go as far as I can. I just need that opportunity. And I think over the years, at Empowered Electric, 4 years, dude, I've hired probably over 100 people, and 30 have worked out. So it's not a great hit ratio, but no, I think it is. If this was baseball, that'd be good. It has changed me. It has made me a more compassionate person, a more thoughtful person, a more courageous person. I mean, it is hard to fire a person. It is hard to caringly say, hey, dude, I think you're better than this, but you have to know, like, this is unacceptable. We're letting you go. It's been really hard for me, but I wouldn't change it for the world. There's not one person that I've hired, and there's been some painful people that have lied and cheated, and I fired and have quit, and and I'm not, and I there's mistakes that I've made, but like it has been such a growing experience for me just dealing with people long term. There's people that we have fired that we have a year and a half later rehired, and I've been able to say, hey dude, the way I handled that was extremely wrong and I apologize, and if you would like another opportunity, I would love to give you one. It's been amazing for me. It's been hard. I've cried, I've gained weight, I've lost money.
Fantastic.
I have a face for radio.
We could do this naked.
I have a face for radio. But so that's just what I'm saying. I'm not saying that like you hire someone and I'm like, hey buddy, don't mess up this opportunity. I'm really doing something great for you. I'm not saying that. I feel like that's like the dude that's like waving his check when he throws it in the offering plate at church or something, that's like, come on, bro. Like, slide that in there like a little discreetly. Put it in one of those little weird envelopes that are on the back of the pew.
I haven't thought about tithe envelopes in a long time. I put a lot of gum into those things.
Yeah. So the reason I know so well about them isn't because we give so much in them. It's because I use those for my kids to draw pictures on during church to keep them from yelling and screaming because they're little psychos. But anyways, Kyle, dude, this was extremely fun.
This was great.
I love that you took the time. There's definitely going to be a part 2. We're thinking about starting one.
Nice.
But guys, pay attention to the show notes. Pay attention, follow along, reach out, show love. Anyways, thanks for listening. Talk to you guys next week. Peace.
Adios.